Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
What's up, NBA fans? Welcome to another edition of The Outlet. With me, as always, Parth.
What up?
Nothing, Parth. Ready for these rankings? And today at 19, we have the Phoenix Suns. Before we talk about the Suns, here's a clip from last season.
2.6 seconds to go now. Blake Griffin will turn. Shoot a three for the layup.
Wait, I thought you said this was a Suns clip. This looks like a Clippers clip.
This clip's a Suns clip because they lost by buzzer beaters 5 times last year.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I think DeMarcus Cousins got them too with a lucky shot.
Yep, DeMarcus Cousins got them. James Harden got them. Then tough season for Suns fans to lose at the buzzer like that multiple times.
Dude, the announcers were even surprised that shot went in. Like, Blake shot a line drive at the rim.
Yeah, that and the Cousins shot, they both took lucky bounces. And tough for the Suns. But let's talk about this ranking. You think this is a fair ranking for the Suns?
At 19, I think this is a good ranking for Phoenix. The Western Conference is tough. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about their offseason, which I'm sure we'll get into here soon. But I think 19 is a good ranking for him.
Yeah, it's tough to gauge the Suns. They made that trade for Brandon Knight last season. He didn't really work out, so at the end of last year, he was a little bit banged up, but he'll need to turn it up this year for the Suns to get higher than 19.
Well, I think the Phoenix Suns think that he worked out. Didn't he sign a huge extension?
He did, yeah. He signed a big – yeah, I think it was like 4 or 5 years, so they've invested a lot in him. But, I mean, when he came over at the end of last season, he really didn't shoot well.
I think he was probably one of the Shaqtin' MVPs last season with all like the crazy plays he had for when he was with Milwaukee, and he even had some with Phoenix too.
Yeah, so Phoenix invested a lot, so see what happens with him. But let's talk about key returners. Bledsoe coming back, Markieff Morris, who's not happy. We just said Brandon Knight, PJ Tucker, Alex Len. Who do you think needs to have a big year?
Well, I would say Markieff, but I'm not sure if he'll even be there at the start of the season or even halfway through. So we'll go with Brandon Knight. I think, like we mentioned him earlier. The Suns gave him a big extension in the offseason, and so I think he needs to stay healthy, get over his ankle issues, and have a big year for them because he is now. Do they have a third guard? Is it Bledsoe, Knight, and is there someone else? I know they did that last season. With
I think they're Archie Goodwin's a young player they have. That's at the guard spot. They're trying to see if he's ready to take on a bigger role.
Okay, well we'll go with Knight and Bledsoe for now. So they finally go back to that 2-point guard role or lineup instead of 3. And so I think Brandon Knight will have to be big because he's a big time. He can score the ball. He can set up an offense. So I think he needs to have a big season.
Yeah, he was a big reason Milwaukee was having such a nice season. And that was the Suns just decided to pull the plug on him. I think they traded a first-round pick maybe and Isaiah Thomas, or was he in the Dragic trade?
I know Dragic went to Miami. I think that was a separate trade. I believe he was involved in the Michael Carter-Williams to Milwaukee and then Brandon Knight to Phoenix deal. Because I think Tyler Ennis, who was on Phoenix, ended up going to Milwaukee. So I think that trade was related.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there was a ton of trades back at the deadline. Suns were making a ton of moves. And they also made a good amount of moves this offseason. They added Teletovic, Tyson Chandler. They drafted a few, Devin Booker. What do you like?
I like the drafting of Booker. I don't know if he'll start with Brandon Knight and Eric Bledsoe. Probably filling the 1 and 2 spots, but I think as a shooter, he was one of the best in the class, and so I think he really helps them out, and he gives them some size. Brandon Knight and Eric Bledsoe are 2-point guards. You obviously want some size at the 2-guard spot if you want to guard James Harden, Klay Thompson, who are in the West. So I think Devin Booker is a good pickup, and I like Mirza Teletovic. 2 years ago when this team was really fun to watch, they had Channing Frye playing that stretch 4 sort of role. And I believe Mirza Teletovic shoots the ball just as well and probably can play make a little bit better than Channing Frye did. So I really like that pickup.
Yeah, I've watched a good amount of Teletovic. He's been in Brooklyn this whole time. He's a nice player. He has more to his game than just a shooter. and he can catch fire quickly. I think a couple years against the Heat in the playoffs, he hit like 6 or 7 threes and kept the Nets in the game just with his 3-point shooting. Also, Devin Booker is a nice pickup as well. I thought they got good value for him. He's a shooter. He'll come in instantly, probably have an impact, give him some nice floor spacing.
Yeah, I think this team really wants to play up and down, pace and space, and so kind of like the Suns, the Steve Nash Suns, way back when. It's crazy to think that was like 10 years ago when they were at their peak. Time flies.
Yeah, time flies. But hopefully, like you said, they can get back to that because that was a fun team to watch.
Yeah.
Any moves you don't like? Anybody you thought they should have kept that they lost?
I really like Gerald Green and what he did 2 seasons ago. Last year didn't really have the best season, but athlete, can shoot the 3 well, good player. Marcus Thornton's another one. I feel like they had so many of these similar type of players that could do well in other situations, and I think will do well in other situations. But he's little buckets, straight off the bench, can score, similar to a Isaiah Thomas. I think losing Markieff Morris really hurts, not because Markieff Morris is a good player, but because Markieff is a good player, and those two are inseparable. And now Markieff is upset.
He wants to be traded.
Yeah, he wants out. The one move I'm questioning now is Tyson Chandler. Of course, it was a great move at the time because they still had a chance at LaMarcus Aldridge, and I thought if they did in fact get Aldridge, Tyson Chandler being there would have been an incredible signing. But because they didn't get Aldridge, kind of iffy on Tyson Chandler. Not because he's a bad player, but they also have a young prospect in Alex Len at center, who I think will learn a lot from Tyson, but I think he needs to play. And Tyson Chandler is obviously going to start and eat up Alex Len's minutes and probably stunt his growth a little bit.
Yeah, I can see your point in that. I mean, I don't really mind the departure of Gerald Green and Marcus Thornton just because they both were inconsistent. But I will agree losing Marcus Morris really messed up Markieff Morris, who's their starter, and they need him to have a big season. So now he's demanding trades, and now they got to figure something out with him.
What I saw on Twitter the other day was someone asked a prominent NBA personality, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name right now, but they asked him what the Suns will likely do with Markieff, and his response was really interesting, and I really agree with it. And he said that the management will end up going to Markieff and saying, "Hey, look, your trade value it's probably pretty low right now because Markieff, the league knows Markieff wants out. So I don't think anyone will put in like a serious offer for Markieff, or the Phoenix Suns probably won't entertain it." But what he said was the Suns management will go to Markieff and tell him, "Hey, you need to play and up your value, and then we can move you." So I think that's a win-win situation for both in the short term. Depending on what Phoenix gets in return, it could be a win-win situation in the long term. But losing Markieff Morris is probably a loss for most teams.
Yeah, especially because I think we've mentioned this before. He has a really cap-friendly contract, and with the cap going up, having him at the contract that he's at really helps your team, and you're able to balance out the talent a little bit more.
Yeah, he has like 3 or 4 more years making under $9 million, and he is clearly a better player than that. So the Phoenix Suns have a great deal with him, and even they have great deals with Eric Bledsoe too. I think he's probably at like 13, 14, 15 million the next couple of seasons, 3, 4, 5 seasons. So he also has a cap friendly deal. So Phoenix has done a good job with their finances.
Yeah, and like I think we mentioned off the podcast, they have some first-round picks going forward. They'll have cap space. Look out for the Suns in the coming off seasons. But let's talk about X factors for this season.
X factors for this season, I think they need to get back to their pace and space style of offense from 2 years ago. Last year they started out with Goran Dragic, Eric Bledsoe, and Isaiah Thomas playing minutes at 1, 2, and 3, and you don't want 3-point guards playing at the same time. It worked with 2, but it definitely did not work with 3, and now 2 of those guys are out. And so I think the play style will be their X factor. They need to get back to playing their 2-guard lineup and then probably playing a bigger 3-man. I know PJ Tucker is a good 3-man as far as defensively. He can he really helps to guard like the bigger players.
Yeah, he's really physical.
Right. Like James Harden, Klay Thompson, those kind of guys. And so it'll be interesting to see because he doesn't provide that much offensively compared to, let's say, a Devin Booker. But I think his defensive value will be big for this team. So my X factor is definitely play style. They need to get back to where they were 2 seasons ago when they were one of the most exciting teams in the league.
That's a good point right there. I agree. Having the 3-point guards really didn't work. Having 1 ball and 3-point guards just doesn't work out. But when they get back to this 2 guards, I think that'll definitely help the team. So my X factor is Brandon Knight. I think that he needs to come in and have a big season. They put a lot of money into him, so see if he can perform. What would you say best case scenario for the Suns?
Best case scenario, I mean they've been knocking on the door of the Western Conference playoffs the last 2 seasons. So I think the best case scenario would be that they actually get in this season as the 8th seed. I think the 8th seed is their ceiling. I think a lot of teams in the West will be fighting for that 8th seed. I think the top 6 or 7 are probably set in stone, but I think 8th is definitely doable for this Phoenix roster.
Yeah, I think it is doable. That would probably be best case scenario, get in the playoffs, build a little bit going forward. Maybe you can intrigue free agents in upcoming seasons because they see you're having a little bit of success. I think that's best case. Worst case?
Worst case, they have to move Markieff Morris because he just won't play for them, and they don't get equal value in return.
Yeah, that's definitely worst case. You don't want to get value for a player, especially a talented player, a young player on a good contract. So you definitely want to get value for him.
Right, and I also think because of Tyson Chandler's addition, I think this is what's going to end up happening. I think his growth will be stunted. Mentally, I think Tyson Chandler's great for him, can teach him some nuances about the game and how to position himself better and all that kind of stuff. But I think actually getting the reps in live action, not getting those reps will hurt.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I mean, you always want the young players to play, and Alex Len needs to play. Yeah, Tyson could teach him some stuff defensively, but he needs to be on the court to just really – he's been in the league for a few years now, so it's really time for him to show up. But let's go and talk about the truth. And the emoji today is 2 twins dancing, and they're happy. This is what the Suns need. They need a happy twin for them to have a good season.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening for him.
All right, are you going to watch the Suns on League Pass?
Suns have 5 national TV games. If they play like they played 2 years ago, absolutely, I will watch them on League Pass. That remains to be seen, though. So I'm not quite sure about the Phoenix Suns yet. I'll probably know better 2-3 weeks into the season, depending on how they're doing. If they're not doing well, I'm not going to watch. I'll probably just watch the national TV games. If they are doing well, this team will be exciting, and I'll definitely watch.
If they keep Morris and they get back to that run and gun style, I'll definitely keep an eye on them.
So I know we've talked about the show Storage Wars, which you are a big fan of. Would you rather watch Storage Wars or the Phoenix Suns this season?
I'm going to go with Storage Wars. This is rare that I pick a TV show over an NBA game, but the new episodes look crazy. Dave's getting in fights with auctioneers, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know anything about Storage Wars, but I hope you have fun with that.
You will. I'll get you on that quick. But thank you guys for listening. And our next team really hates our segment, The Truth.